That's true, I did see
They're
that.
all in big trouble.
I did see that. It's not my fault, I still have Halloween stuff out. My word.
Okay, well, that's pretty good. First on your agenda.
Capital budgets.
Capital budget. Johnny? You're on, brother.
All right, just going down the list and explaining what we're doing here.
Sure.
Okay. Commissioners building here, maintenance building. Landscaping, we've never had landscaping. We need to get that in. I'm not sure what the key fob.
Yeah, some of these were on the list when Tanya and their building committee did these. So some of these John is probably just catching up on.
So some of them were like the wish list items, they're not in priority order under
They're
that.
not, right.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Gotcha.
I mean, landscaping, we had a estimate one time $1,000 for that. Key fobs are $2,000 to $3,000 per key fob.
Yeah, for door.
If you're installing new ones. So the painting, the tractor I am aware of, that is our mower that we use out mostly for the south. We only have that one. It runs about 32 hours a week mowing. It also has a broom on it for the wintertime that we do the sidewalks with here to keep our sidewalks in town here, and a cab. Now I'm looking to replace that or add another one to it. And you start with, okay, do you want just a mower? And then you want a broom. You want to add a broom to it so you can do the snow. Add a cab so the guy can work in the snow. So it adds up pretty quick. Do you have the final number there?
Yeah, it was, what we got was $34,091.81. That's the tractor and the cab unit.
The tractor, the mower, the broom, and the cab. So it's a complete thing, and it can go one or all. So,
This is under state term pricing.
right. So the trucks for the fleet, if you look at.
Is your tractor, is it imminent, or is it just something that you know is in the pipeline?
It's just in the pipeline. We're gonna need it as far as especially snow removal. That's what brooms the lots off clean, you know. And,
But are you thinking that's a 2019 issue, or is that?
I would like it to be, yeah.
Okay.
We only have the one unit. We depend on it heavily. If it breaks down,
So you're not necessarily looking to trade?
no, I'm looking to add two.
Okay.
We would be in an immediate lease position where we'd have to lease one, so.
Yeah.
Trucks and fleet, if you look at the county fleet, down at the bottom there are my vehicles that I maintain. Everything you look at there down to the Savannah, the weights and measure van, those are all 13, 14, 12, 10 years old. The Cobalt and the Fusion are both 10 years old. After that, they're newer, except for what I added to the bottom. That was a freebie from the veterans. It was given to them as a donation. They drove it to 158,000 miles and then gave it to us as a backup for our fleet. It runs fairly good and so forth. I recently took the 1995 pickup truck out of service recently, as in Friday and Monday of this week. Last time we fixed that, it was $400 and some, and something's going drastically wrong with it again. So being a 95, I'm not sure it's worth $400. So that's out of service. I changed Larry over to the truck that you all see me driving. We're putting that into service, and I am now driving the Ford Edge for my vehicle. Beverly drives, well, I got Beverly. The Fusion, while it only has 65,000 miles, that needs to be looked at. It's a rough running car. That needs to be looked at being replaced. Weights and measure van, we had some discussion on that here recently. That van is not designed to carry that kind of weight around. Obviously, the brakes go bad. The powertrain's going bad. Not bad, it's not that he can't drive it out of town, but it's just not made for a weights and measures vehicle. And now that we're starting to have some issues with it, especially with the brakes and stuff, I understand that there's been discussion, not necessarily a complaint, that he comes home smelling like gasoline at times because everything's in an enclosed van. If we were to replace that, we should look at least a minimum of a 1-ton vehicle and possibly have a separate box on the back. Like what comes in mind is some of the electricians' vans that are out here. They're not just a van, but they're a box on the back, and they have a solid wall between the cab and the back side. So while this is still running fairly good and stuff, those are complaints, and those are things that I see happening with this because we are carrying a lot of weight around in a van that's not sized properly. And it does have 238,000 miles on it.
And I'm sure he could ask some other counties what they use.
Correct.
Because every county has
Yeah,
way of doing that stuff. And
If we so choose to go that route, we'll definitely investigate what other people use and so forth. So,
So what moves here are you actually recommending for this year? I mean, I get that we're identifying problems, but is there a move for 2019 that you would recommend?
I'd like to keep the upgrade. We upgraded our fleet that everybody drives when they go to Columbus, when they go to meetings. You all drive them at different times. That would be the terrain and the journey. I'd like to add, replace the Fusion to put in that mix as well. The Cobalt is a good backup. It's small. The Sheriff's Department uses it when they send deputies for training and so forth. It's running good stuff. It's just small and kind of inadequate for a transportation vehicle, but I would say definitely the Fusion for sure. Weights and measures truck, if that's where we're going with this, that kind of all came up here just the last few days. And possibly a vehicle in the maintenance department. We have our 12-year-old vehicles that we got from the dog warden. They're fine, they're running good. But I'd like to get something possibly with a snowplow, something that we could start doing more of our own work. In the wintertime, right now, we hire a lot of that done, and that would replace one of our vehicles. But I would say the Fusion and the weights and measures are 1 and 2, and then go from there.
Okay, so, from an accounting standpoint, we at this point in time, the procedure is we buy these things at whatever the value is, and we depreciate them out over a period of time.
We use them until the wheels fall off, usually.
Okay, but I mean,
Well past the depreciation
yeah,
schedule.
all right.
Yes.
I'm already off of somebody else's book.
So, but I mean, how does that hit, does it hit the income statement in the form of depreciation?
No.
We don't depreciate these things down and take them down to a zero value?
According to the state auditors that we've had many conversations, is as long as we have it, it still has value.
Okay.
We would consider it no value, like the truck we're gonna probably end up calling Danner's for to come get.
And we have
scrap, there's some value.
There's some value.
$200.
Maybe those tires or something.
usually 200.
Two? Is that what we get?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I guess, that, you know, one of the things that I'm just kind of mulling over here is is there any reason to lease vehicles that we know we're gonna have to replace after a period of time that have to have some useful life? In other words, is there anything that we'd like to turn over every 4 years so that we're certain that it was in good shape and something, up to date?
Yeah.
We talk about the go ahead.
We utilize 3 main vehicles, be the Journey, the Terrain, and the Fusion. And those pretty much takes care of whoever needs to go to meetings and stuff like that there. Once in a while, we had to throw the edge in to give somebody a vehicle to drive.
Okay.
So the 2 are newer, they're 16s, and Beverly's is 10 years old. Those vehicles that other people drive all the time, I like to see those be a little bit newer, because you're sending them out on the road and so forth. If you're catching that, the stuff that we drive, we just keep running it. It's fine.
And if since it's a maintenance vehicle, there may be some accidental damage, throwing tools in the box or through,
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah, it could be one of the, I've never leased a vehicle, what's the mileage allowed?
I think go up to 36,000.
And
I
how
actually
many,
never have
and how
either.
much time?
3 years.
3
3
years.
years. Because it looks like if this is Jagger on the Journey, 15,000 in 3 years is all, that's pretty low mileage.
That's, yes, they're not high mileage, they just get a lot of.
I mean, you can work out mileage, whatever you want it to be, you gotta pay for it.
Right.
Yeah.
But, if you had a situation where you had a car or a truck or whatever, you put 15,000 miles a year on, or whatever the case might be, I mean, you could work that deal out up front. But I don't know if, I'm not sure if it makes sense or it doesn't make sense, but it would seem to me that we would wanna have some decent vehicles for those people that are driving them out of town on a regular basis,
Mm-hmm.
so that there's no concern regarding the reliability of that vehicle.
That was the discussion we had in 16 when we bought the
Yeah.
Journey and
Right.
the Terrain.
and it was decided that it wasn't cost effective to lease, right? When we
Right.
did it in.
At that time, yeah,
Okay.
because we can drive these out. The ones we replaced were 8 or 9 years old at the time, to get the Journey and
I guess I really don't understand the accounting on that then, because it just kind of blows my mind that we don't have a depreciation schedule, that we show that as expense, because you're depreciating those down to a 0 value at some point. I would assume GAAP accounting would say that you show that expense, because you've got to use that money for replacement theoretically.
I imagine the state term pricing makes that less cost effective, because we can't get that, you're not gonna get that out of lease,
Right.
the. Correct.
but you get it out of the purchase.
Correct.
Makes sense.
No, there is no state pricing on lease?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
I do 2 thoughts on the fleet. One is, I use a vehicle maybe once a month or once every other month. I rarely have any trouble getting a vehicle. Do we have the right number? I mean, if we look at a month, are there 20 days that 2 are sitting and 10 days where they're both out? I mean, I haven't done that exercise, so I just want to ask that
Once in a
question.
while, we run more than the 3 vehicles. The one in particular, the reason we have Bev's name on there, she's with the juvenile probate court. She uses it almost exclusively. She uses it daily or 4 days a week maybe, and so forth. And the other ones just roll with whoever needs meeting.
Yeah.
Whoever needs to go.
I just don't know if we have the right number. I mean,
I think, I think it's worked out. Nikki does the scheduling.
Yeah, I don't think.
we don't hardly ever turn anybody away, though, right?
We do.
Yeah, there's-
Usually conferences seem to fall at the same time,
Okay,
so we get, unfortunately, first come, first serve.
okay.
And,
My other thought is, if there's any vehicles that primarily or exclusively stay local, and it's time to replace them, I think we should look at some electric vehicles to see, if that's cost effective.
Mhm.
So, I'll talk a little bit about later in the meeting, but we may have the option to do some electric charging stations. So, we may wanna look at that for a fleet
I-
as well.
Yeah, I think Beverly runs the Fostoria and stuff like that there. Maintenance vehicles, they're all local, they stay local, except for if I need parts. I occasionally run to Fremont to get heating and cooling parts from Famous Supply and stuff like that there, so, but it's occasionally,
Yeah, just a thought.
yeah. So,
Okay,
That's-
so if you were king, what would you do with the fleet at this point?
I would look at the weights and measures van, and that's a new thought now, just in the last few days. And the Red Fusion. I've already solved our problem with taking the old pickup out of service. Of course, I don't have a spare now, but, you know, we have the two maintenance trucks and then my truck, the Edge. So,
The Edge is just a little SUV thing.
that
It's
is,
not a
that
truck.
is, right. It's not a truck, no.
No, it's not a truck.
No.
Truckster.
And, you know, I'm known to haul salt and stuff like that around, but if I need to, I'll use one of the other trucks. So, I would say those two would be 1 and 2.
Do we have anything coming off from the dog warden? At this point, a lot of times that comes back to us.
It looks like she's got 15s. She got the new vehicles in 15, and that's when she bought the new ones and gave her old ones to maintenance department. She hasn't mentioned a vehicle. The two she has is pretty low mileage still,
old-
so, I mean, I could talk to her.
Okay.
The 206 F-150s, those are,
Those are the ones Kelly gave him.
right, those are dog wardens.
Okay, so she had those for 9 years.
Yeah.
Right, okay, so 15 would take us to a long ways away, yes. All right.
So you picked the most expensive vehicle, right? The weights and measures van. Is that the function of the auditors? Is that?
That is, but that van has been in our fleet since I've been here, so,
We've just been giving her old vans over the years.
Does she have any funding for that?
It's-
Pathway for funding?
She says it's general fund account, so,
I just don't know.
Yeah.
and that would not necessarily have to be a new one.
I was just gonna say that, that's what, so you might find
No,
something out there.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah,
We could look at state purchasing and so forth for use as well, or whatever that's called.
yeah.
there's probably a couple different types of vehicles that would work and be an improved
Right.
safety and reliability
Right.
issue. But, you know, again, brand new, those trucks are not cheap.
Yeah, he has to be able to work out of the back of it.
Yep.
He physically carries the weights, which is fine. But he has to be able to do that, so you can't have a big van that's high off the ground.
Right, you don't want a big,
No, you
yeah,
want something.
4x4 pickup truck either, you know, I
I
mean,
think
that
of these vans that these electricians are driving, they're not the old van style, they're more of a box.
yeah.
And they have the solid wall between the cab and evidently with the last communication I read, that is becoming a concern, so. The main thing on my end, 1 ton, there's a lot of weights in that unit, and your brakes, your powertrain, your engine needs to be sized accordingly. When I drive that van, the brakes are mushy, they're slower. You gotta realize you've got, you know,
What you got behind you.
4,000 pounds of weights behind you, sitting behind you.
Would there be any benefit to having just a trailer for that?
Yeah, right.
Don't know. I don't know if easier to work out of.
Because I know he does take our other vehicles to go to conferences, to go to other
Right,
things.
right. He drives the fleet stuff, the
Yeah.
terrain and the journey. He was just gone for 2 or 3 days.
Yeah,
Yeah. So,
I'm sure he'd rather have a van or a truck than just a trailer. but-
yeah.
And just a reminder that any vehicle that's worthy of a decal for the branding, the
Mhm.
county, we still are interested in that.
Yeah, the 95s that hold the rest together.
Yeah.
That's one reason we got magnets instead of stickers, just because we thought maybe some of our fleet was gonna be replaced relatively soon.
Well, all you gotta do is look at the miles and the years there.
If we're not proud of them, don't.
Right.
Don't brand them.
Not overly proud, no. All right, so going down the list, the RTA on everybody's discussion on their lips is, you know, tear it down, fix it, what are we doing with it? $1 million, and that's just a number that a guy in California threw out to me to tear the facade off because all that mushroom is bolted on, okay? Tear that off, windows out, brick it, block it, brick it, new windows, $1 million. Never got a price on that, that's just a number. What I'm suggesting we do next year, because I'm sure if we spend $1 million, we're not gonna do it next year. We clean it, we have it cleaned. The exterior is actually a concrete. Ozaki concrete, something, it's got a name. And you can tell, if you look at the front, the three sides of the building compared to the back is a different commercial stucco, okay? It's not discolored, it's not anything wrong. So for the three sides, I'm suggesting that we clean it and we stain it. We get somebody to tell us what color you might want it besides white. I don't say paint it because paint will peel, so, and it's concrete, so I think you seal it, you stain it and seal it. We do have 2 leaking spots that we've been chasing, and that's on the northeast corner where payroll is, Lori, on the 2nd floor mainly. And this year, actually, some came down, that real hard driving rain we had, some came down in Nick Damon's office. So put a little extra caulking, extra thought. We've been doing this for a couple of years now. Since I've been here, we've sealed everything, and it still just keeps coming in on driving rains. But so in order for it to look more of the facade everybody wants, it needs to be cleaned, first of all, stained, and then sealed.
Would the, do you think the 20 that we've been kind of reallocating every year, would that cover that?
Be very close.
Okay, because we
Very,
kind of set
very
it
close.
aside for painting and power washing, I
Right.
think was the recommendation years ago. And we've just kind of been putting 20,000 in there to do something with.
All right,
John, are those planters, are they out of commission? Are the window planters?
correct. They are.
They'll
out of
never be
commission.
used again.
The drains in them work, but if you put plants back in them and stuff, they probably plug back up. And that was part of our problem. If you go back before me, in the basement where Charlene's office used to be, that's directly under that front doorway on Market Street. That was an issue, that was dripping in there and stuff. We've got that sealed up now. I know Klaus did a bunch of work to the building before I got here. And since I've been here, we've taken the door framing all off of the floor end of it, cleaned it up real good, caulked it, super caulked it, and that seemed to take care of that issue. What I'm recommending here is just, just to make it look good. I'm sure it'll help preserve it if we do the right seal on that concrete. But at the same time, we can stain it, make it look a little better for the downtown.
And you don't know the cost of, like I said, you think some of the money that's there would cover it. I mean, part of me wants to think, I'd like to see us to be able to commit, and we're only at the top of this list, we're not through it yet. But one thought is can we put away the money for the window and facade replacement, start putting that back? Like we did with the Justice Center, we start putting some money back so that we would have it, and that could be if that would be the goal.
Yeah, I would suggest an architect's rendering of it or looking at it, because the type of building, it is nothing more than a square steel building. And all that mushroom stuff's bolted onto it. And But somebody needs,
Well, if you take if you take the precast off, you've got just a steel frame.
you're gonna end up with just a
Now you'd have to block.
bare bones,
brick.
right, you'd have to block it up from,
Yeah, so that's the matter. Is it worth doing that, or is it worth starting over?
Right.
Right, and I'm actually, the building would appear smaller, I think, if that's the case, because
it would.
that concrete is probably another 3 feet from the beams.
Correct, and that's usable space, like Mike Dell's office, Damon's office, then go upstairs to Lori's office in the corner.
Yeah.
Their filing cabinets are actually beyond the plane of the building.
Yeah.
They're into the
All
mushroom.
the boxes.
It's built that way.
Vacuum, basically.
Huh?
You do a vacuum.
Right, it's actually built that way, so all that would have to come off,
Right.
and you would be, you know,
So you would lose, I mean, the point is you'd lose square footage, and the
Some,
building would be
yeah.
compressed to its footprint.
right.
You know, one, I guess I'll rob from the agenda, today's agenda, and bring this forward, but before my time, and I guess you guys were both here, we had an MOU to move to the East Tower with a county building. I mean, are we still being guided by that? Because, I mean, that impacts my decision on whether I would want to invest $1 million in the RTA.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and I would rather spend the $20,000 to hire Gossman to do a feasibility study of the East Tower or a new facade at the RTA and what that might look like than, you know, the old lipstick on a pig thing. Because I don't know that we'll, without those planters doing something with that and the rounded, I mean, the building was designed to look, to be green, to be alive with those planters full of vegetation.
All right.
And we're never gonna get back to that. So I don't think we're ever gonna repair the image, and with the structural problems
Yeah.
of rain and whatnot,
To
I
use
think
the-
painting it and sealing it, I think it's just, we're not addressing the issue.
To use the planters, again, they can be used, we just have to redo a drainage system, probably an exterior, and then cover it, and go down and just have it go into either the sewer system or right into the sidewalk. So, I mean, they could be used, but yeah, not without some work.
Yeah, I mean, speaking to the MOU, we talked about possibility of the city buying that lot, or whatever number. You know, we talked about blocking off Court Street to make it a walkway. So there are still components of that we probably ought to, at some point, have a joint council meeting and commissioners meeting to talk about what the priority is there. I don't know that anybody would sit still for demolishing the building, raising the building, and then having to find space. And, unless we had a plan in place that we got some significant grant money for East Tower or for some other location to house those elected officials' offices.
Yeah, well, nobody's homeless now, so, I mean, we have the chance to
Right.
make that plan. I just, you know, I guess from my standpoint, I'm just looking to see if we're guided by that document, then we should react to it. I mean, if that's our understanding, well, then I think, you know, I would just like to know either cut bait or fish. You know, and you know, I don't have an opinion because I don't have enough information. I don't actually know what it would cost to renovate East Tower. I don't know what, you know, we don't know what the facade's gonna cost.
Yeah, everybody does. The only bids we ever had, the only estimates we ever had on East Tower was to convert it to a courthouse. Right?
Yeah.
So we never really had one to convert it to offices. You know, I have no idea what that dollar figure is gonna be, but it's significant.
Yeah.
You know, so then I mean, I think there's two decisions here. There's more than two decisions. But if we decided to raise that building, you know, would it be more cost efficient to put a building someplace that will house these people?
Yeah.
Or would it be better to renovate an existing building? And I don't know the answer to any of those questions either, but I would like to, I think ideally, we moved in the direction of making that green space, because I don't know that the maintenance problems are ever gonna go away with that building.
Yeah.
Correct,
I mean,
and I look at it, on my end, you know, we own the building, we have 3 major departments in that building.
Yeah.
Take care of it right now until we decide something.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah, no,
No, I absolutely agree with you on that, but, you know, I guess, as Shane said, you know, at some point in time, we can't just put perfume on it. We have to figure out if it is a long-term commitment to that building or not. The building was built in the late 70s, you know, so it's 40 years old. Unfortunately, it wasn't the grade A construction type of a last forever building.
Right.
So, yeah, I guess that's that's part of the strategic planning committee's forward thinking, and, yeah, we ought to revisit that MOU since you brought it up. Were those the only other 2 items on there?
Court Street and, yeah,
Yeah.
moving. That's the reason I was in my mind, because I knew we were looking at a capital budget, and I, you know, deferential to the previous board who put that policy in place, or that strategic
Yeah.
vision. I wasn't a party to it, but,
I mean, going back in time, part of it was because that's kind of what some of the folks in the city wanted. We wanted them to come along in the courthouse, so it was kind of a
sure.
negotiated MOU, if you will. I don't know. Tear it down or fix it, Commissioner Stacy, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a waste of money to put money into it if we know we gotta maintain it, we gotta keep.
Well,
we
my
gotta
next
keep
thing
them-
is the 4
we gotta keep
heating
them
units,
comfortable.
so.
Yeah.
But so if we can maintain it, and if we can determine we have a path to another plan, and/or that we're gonna need a path to another
Right.
plan, another end game.
Well, you know, if we really had an interest in trying to do East Tower, we could start lobbying efforts now for capital budget grants, and those kind, I mean, it's an $8-10 million story there, there's no question
That's
about that.
it's half what the Justice Center was.
Yeah, so the next question is, you know, would we be better off to go south and put a utility building up, so to speak, to house these folks? You know,
I'd be hard pressed to get behind that, but.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm just talking about all the options.
Yeah, no, I know.
I'm not suggesting that's a solution.
I understand.
I'm suggesting that's the least expensive way out at this point.
I just don't know that we get to an answer unless we spend money. That's the reality of it.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, John,
Well-
unless you wanna try and spitball numbers and come in here and defend them, what
Yeah.
what our options are. I mean, I don't know if you wanna do that or not, but.
Like, yeah, it's just a question of priorities, and I mean, if really our sense is that we don't wanna save that building, there's no sense having Pogemeyer or whomever do an estimate as to revitalizing it, right? I mean, leave it as it is and maintain it and make sure people are healthy in there.
I didn't realize you'd actually lose square footage.
Yeah,
I mean, I figured you take all that off and you gotta,
No.
you've got walls that are drywalled and need to be finished, but it's
If you-
going to shrink.
right. When
That
you-
just amazes me. So
Right.
therefore, they can't even live in it when you're doing it.
Well, when.
Oh, no.
Right,
Not if you're gonna.
You know, it's not like a house that's just not sided.
right.
No.
Because I
It's,
mean,
you know.
unfortunately, I'm old enough to remember when it was constructed, and when they brought these, I was actually working for the bank at the time, when they brought these precast pieces in with a crane, you know, the framework looked a whole lot smaller. I remember thinking, well, that's gonna be an awfully small building, but then when you add the fluff, it looks much bigger.
Yeah.
And then you'd have, a landscaping situation, I think, because they did it to the sidewalk, right?
Right,
All that stuff would be gone.
right.
So now you would have this perimeter moat, for lack of a better way of saying it, around the building.
Right. But while we're still talking about the old building, it does need 4 new heating units. Those are the units that heat the first floor, the basement and the first floor. The second floor is all done by rooftop units. And the first floor, those are the original units in there, heating and cooling. And they're in need of replacement, even if we're gonna keep it 5 years.
Heated blankets and gloves will work. Just kidding.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll second that motion to put the regional planning back in the basement.
Actually,
I thought, what are you talking about?
Roll call.
no violence here.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. I'm
All
like,
right. moving on, or?
Yeah, I guess I mean, we don't have to have an action plan, I mean, it's Mike's committee, but I just,
Yeah,
give him some guidance from my perspective. I would like, a recommendation to come out of the committee that, and I would be amenable to spending money to do a serious engineering study so we could identify.
I agree.
some
What I'd
costs.
like to do, if it's okay, is set up a meeting with the Buildings and Grounds Committee with the city of Tiffin. Have one of us go to that, and at least have a discussion with them as to their percentage of seriousness about wanting that lot and willing to pay for it. So we can at least move forward, and then, East Green owns the East Tower at this point, I would guess, so we would need to have some discussion there to see if that's even a possibility anymore. I haven't talked about it in so long that I don't know whether it would be or not, and to find out whether or not there is any grant money available, because it would take significant grant money, I think, to move us off that mark.
And I don't know that the city have any need, do they have building concerns, if they have any interest in any city offices? It's just a solo, it's us
Right.
alone.
The last time we had any slight discussion about it, they thought maybe, their administrative offices might go into that building as well. You couldn't move, because of the stairs and all of, obviously the police would stay where it's at, but, I think that's what the thought kind of was at that point, when we're talking about doing all the things jointly.
Yeah, I think they were looking at putting City Hall down there, but making their current building safety service only.
Right.
But I mean, I think it hinges on whether we go or don't go. I mean,
Yeah.
that's,
Right.
and this building as well.
Can you hollow it out and park cars in that building?
Sure,
Okay.
we could do it in just the little cars on the second floor.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so we'll schedule a meeting with the, I don't even know what the name of the council is, Building and Grounds, I don't know what they're,
Cities.
or at least ask to schedule that meeting.
Okay, so the RTA, that's obviously the big thing, the heating units for the first floor and new flooring for 2019, the carpets, pretty bad.
And we do have the $50,000 from OSS that we've done carpets before, just as a funding option. We have 50 that we could use from 2018 period over, because we haven't used it yet. And then we'll have, presumably the 50,000 from 2019. But we've used it on blacktops, we've used it on carpet, so just, it's there.
Yeah.
Requirement there is to use recycled materials. The carpets, Lee's have been very gracious in getting that for us, and the blacktop, of course, could be the same.
Okay. All right.
Okay, CSB building. We have been in discussion for a couple of years about that Perry Street entrance to the health department. Looking at expanding that entrance, making it a real entrance, rather than just a side door. Something we've talked about. There's room inside to expand that entrance, change the handicap ramp, repair the parking lot to handicap facility.
Yeah. That seems like a big number for me. You talked to somebody about this, I assume.
That was brought up in, we never got a number on it.
Seems light to me, actually.
250?
Because we're also talking about the facade, right?
No,
Or the-
we're just talking about
Just the entrance?
changing the entrance and making handicap accessible and putting a roof over it.
Well,
or
this
something.
says facade and
I think
entrance.
this is the facade and the entrance.
Is that, the
Oh.
facade is crumbling.
Oh,
Right.
that's the stucco you're talking about? On the
That
side of the
stucco
building?
needs to come off, and
I see.
brick.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't know.
When we
Well-
took the mural off that back in 13 or 14, did we just paint it? Or because there was holes because we took the mural off?
Yeah,
We didn't re-facade it then. We just painted it. Okay.
Okay.
And
I
it's-
guess I didn't pay attention to that.
it's bubbled, it's done a number of different things. We painted it once, I think, in between there before me, but that's even, not holding well, so.
Okay, good enough. That is a good number then.
Restrooms
I was thinking it
upgrade,
was just the entrance.
Entrance,
so-
yeah.
Yeah,
I'll just go down the list, or how do you wanna do that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, the restrooms just need to be upgraded to ADA compliance.
And Charlene does have our CDBG project
Yes,
working on.
2019.
LED lighting, update the flooring, rooftop HVAC units, that's,
Is that one done?
that one, well, that's the chiller that's up there.
That's the one we're repairing, right?
Right,
So that, okay, so that,
right.
I wasn't sure if that was an old one or if that still needed addressed.
I still needs addressed. Okay, the marble and limestone, that's more on the prosecutor's building. It's all part of that building there, that needs some major attention. It's been eaten away over the years. I did get an estimate from a company in Marion that did work at the museum, and it was either 30 or 40,000 to replace the sandstone in the front and going down Court Street. All right, and that's the first couple, 3 foot of that building. It can be repaired, no guarantees, you know, there's seriously gaps of an inch, inch and a half that you would have to caulk. That's a little bit big for a caulk joint.
If it was replaced with something other than sandstone, would it still be that expensive?
We can go wherever we want with that, yeah. No, what they said was the sandstone.
Okay.
That was the third, I think it was 30,000 for that.
I mean, I think that particular product by nature has some overly maintenance issues.
Right,
So I just don't want to buy ourselves another.
correct. And the other thing to do is go in there and brick it too. So, you know, there's a lot of different things you can do, rather than have that look there. So-
And, you know, just while we're on that side and going to the pit, of course, back to the MOU again, is, you know, doing something with Court Street, making it pedestrian friendly or whatever. So I think we need to look at that pretty closely so that it marries up to whatever the plan is for Court Street. And so I think we're almost forced to do something with that sandstone because it's piles of sand.
Right.
I mean, it's literally melting off the walls,
Right.
and the entrance is just, it's an embarrassment because this
We were-
thing's
we
failing
were
off that.
Set to
So-
do that entrance, and then the
what press?
city facade, architectural board review said we couldn't sandblast. I wanted to sandblast it, get all that gunky paint off of there. So we're not able to do that. I do have an estimate to pressure wash it for $5,000, or we can chemically remove just like stripping paint, chemically remove it for, what was that, 8,000?
Yeah, I had 10,000.
10,000,
just to-
okay.
I think we need to do something. I mean, it's an embarrassment.
Yeah.
What was the problem with sandblasting?
The architectural board review won't allow it
Won't allow sandblasting
at all,
anywhere?
at all.
Is it,
Okay.
yes, for
I think it would
favors?
destroy that
Oops.
terracotta anyways, wouldn't it?
No, the terracotta's already, the smooth, you know, terracotta's like a coffee cup, okay? So the smooth is gone on half of it anyhow. So by sandblasting it, you're going to rough up the rest of it so it won't peel, and then you're just gonna paint it. You know, you're not gonna bring it back to that smooth finish unless you, of course, want to, but we were just going to get the buildup of paint off of there. And it's got some very nice detail.
Yeah, no, I want to preserve it. It's just, it's an embarrassment right
Yeah,
now. I mean,
yeah.
it's-
Sandblasting, you can do that in different pressures, different
Okay.
materials, so.
And the pit wall, I know that's, that part of that
Pit
is.
wall is the lower part, down
Yeah.
where the parking is below. Yeah, that's falling off. That needs to be blocked up. The $10,000 is from local contractor to block that. Actual block, split face block. Look nice down there. And it would be a very good fix for that wall.
Yeah, there's an aesthetic issue too on the top side, where you took that building off.
That doesn't include the aesthetics for the top side.
I would-
That's
I would
correct, though,
like-
that needs some,
Drive-in ones?
Yeah,
yeah, that needs,
especially if we're gonna start turning the focus to.
well,
Court
it could
Street.
be added to this, or it could be,
Yeah, I would look at them together.
or it could be done with a Court
It was
Street.
just, like put brick pavers or something in there, or something. Okay, let's, from a time standpoint, let's go through the rest and prioritize those things that you think absolutely need to be done in 19 here.
Okay, well, something that's changed in the annex is the boilers. We fixed the one boiler, in the process of cleaning it and so forth. The 24 of the burners were cracked, so we had to put new ones in. That was to the tune of about $5,000. The second boiler actually has damage. There's a couple scenarios. Either put it back together the way it is, secure it, and hopefully it'll work through the winter. And then replace both of those boilers, which are 15 years old,
Where's David?
next year to the tune of roughly $70,000. Or I can put a new heat exchanger in that upper boiler, $17,000. That will give us almost like a new boiler, okay? You would have to probably do the same to the lower boiler at some time.
So 34,000 versus 75,000 replies.
Right, now what you're gonna lose is you've got a 65–70% efficient boiler today, that's in there today, and you would go up to about 98% for that money.
To go up to 70, to spend the 75,000.
To spend, right, I have an estimate to replace this
Yeah,
boiler
yeah.
temporarily, just kinda like off to the side, and that was $35,000, so I'm just doubling it
Yeah.
for,
How certain are you with the heat exchangers that that thing would last a while?
very sorry, I think it would.
Well, you
Again, though, you're not
reckon-
gonna get any efficiency out of it.
Okay.
It's if you
What does
look
that-
at,
What does that translate to, $200? Anybody, you have
So it's
any
got some
idea?
life left.
to what?
What does that translate to? When we talk about efficiencies for the annex, what kind of a heating bill are we paying? And what would it be if it's more efficient? I mean, in order to kind of do that cost analysis, I kind of like to figure out the number.
In dollars and kilowatts.
Right, yeah. Kilowatts. BTUs maybe?
BTUs, there you go.
There you go.
Okay.
I don't know the answer.
Yeah, okay, I don't
mean,
know. I understand.
you're talking 25–30% more efficient, so
Okay.
is that $200–300 on the 1,000? I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
I'd have
I
to,
don't know what the heating bill.
they have their own scales, I can get that information, there's no problem there.
It's just we got the one boiler.
One
Apart
boiler right
right
now
now,
doing
it's
both
down.
buildings, so, and it is capable of doing both buildings, because they only run one at a time.
Well, my sense is very quickly that we ought, at $74,000, we ought to replace them.
Yeah,
If it takes $34,000 to fix them, and we're still not efficient.
yeah.
And not
That-
worry
that-
about getting
that's
any more-
a-
don't try to get any more years out of it, because
Yeah.
that obviously that cost isn't gonna
That's a
stay that
decision
way.
I need right away, mainly because I only have the one boiler running.
Okay.
To order if we do the repair, $17,000, that's the new heat exchanger. Takes 2 to 3 weeks to get that in, and we're getting into our heavy season. If we fix it, and we put both boilers back in operation, and then next year put the 2 new ones in this summer. So,
So to put both boilers back in operation, how much would it cost us?
17, right now,
Yeah.
$5,000.
Okay, so in your professional opinion, if we got them back working, we could get through the winter
Yes,
for $5,000?
Yes.
And then replace them next,
next year for the
it's a
67.
great idea until it isn't, right?
Yeah,
So great. Then we can close off that wall and.
Nope.
That's what we were saving it for, right?
Nope.
Those doors to replace the boilers?
Yeah.
yeah.
That's bad, yeah.
All right. Do we want to bring that back up in session?
I mean, that is an issue, right?
Yeah.
That is an issue that needs solved.
No, but I mean, being able to, the access is, you wouldn't wanna
That
do,
is it.
if you're gonna do both.
We've handled that, that's already
Okay.
taken care of. As far as the wall that's being constructed would not interfere with us moving boilers in and out. All right, I'm sorry,
Session, so we can-
This, yeah.
you wanna keep going or you wanna
Yep.
go? Okay,
Yeah, again, if you kind of scan those, just tell us what is imminent.
right. Museum, we talked to an engineering company on this here, the driveway and retaining wall, we have different ideas on that. I think on the building itself, we should concentrate on wiring, HVAC systems, different systems that can be installed without tearing up the old facade or the old walls of the museum, try to keep it intact. These split minis, you're aware of them, those units that hang on the wall and stuff, those can be installed throughout that building. As you walk in the building, there's a certain odor of old. A lot of that has to do with
It's part of the ambiance.
moisture.
It's supposed to
Yeah, it
smell.
is, it
It's supposed to
really
smell.
is. So, the air conditioning and moisture control of the building, I think those are important to maintain that building, along with, you know, if they're gonna do the carriage house and stuff like that there.
Yeah.
But the actual working parts of the building need to be addressed, or should be addressed.
We think the wiring's gonna might become an issue
Sooner
with
than
our
later.
insurance.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, think about it.
Ouch, yeah. Okay.
And it can be done in sections, you know, you can do it, especially the heating and cooling. We can, you know, those are just gonna be, in my mind, they're gonna be multiple units. You're just not gonna put a new system in to do the whole building. First of all, you don't want to. You don't need to cool the whole building all summer long. You just need to maintain the moisture content of it, and you need to heat it when people wanna see it, maybe not heat it so much. So multiple systems in there need to be engineered. I think that would be a great answer to that old building. Public safety building, they just need a new building. We can, we
Check.
have, it's block, same block on the outside as the inside. Driving range, we do get some moisture through there. Good siding job, you know, could probably take care of that. Plus the insulation. I'm not sure about the roof, whether that obviously would help on the insulation. But the vehicle wash, that's just a piping issue. There's no water where they need the wash, so we need to get it to them. And as far as replacing the floor, that's just old, worn flooring.
Okay.
Just scanning down, two things I have a question on. Is data center, there's 150 in there, is that stuff that we've already purchased or scheduled to purchase, or?
That was, they put together a full price on basically putting, so it's ready to go for the county.
This is at the annex?
The data center, yeah. He put a full price in that would get us servers and everything ready to go for all departments. We don't need to do that all at once right away, but I said I need a number to throw in there, and that would cover, you know, everybody from us, auditor's office, all the buildings. It would even include public safety, all the servers,
Okay.
to be able to do everything.
When do you need to finalize the capital improvement budget, sir?
We can always, we can change it at any time. I can just put our normal amount in.
Well, I'm gonna
We can-
suggest that we have another conversation next week, because we're not gonna go through this.
We're not gonna get through it now.
So,
But this is good discussion.
well, it's a
Yes.
great discussion, yeah.
Yes. How about
So
we
why,
reconvene
if you
that?
can, if you could plan to come in next week too, we'll
Absolutely.
start at 9 o'clock on Tuesday, and get through this unless you guys prefer that we have a different, or a special meeting.
That works, this works.
Okay,
I like where this is going.
okay.
Yeah,
So,
we need this,
we'll finish it up then, and
Couple
by
things
that
in-
time, we might have a couple more answers, a couple things.
right. Couple things in here need answers right
Yeah,
now.
yeah, at least we can, more information is better, right?
Mhm.
And by that time, we can have a conversation with the city, building and maintenance department as well, to see what direction they wanna go.
All right.
Okay. Is there anything else we need to finish in the work session besides the, capital project?
I'm sorry.
No, that's all we had for our work session, so schedule,
Take
we
a
need
break here.
All right, I'll
continue.
take a 5-minute break here, 4 minutes.